If you're a fan of mind-blowing tech stories, do me a quick favor, hit that like button and subscribe right now. You won't regret it, because today we're re-diving into the secret history of a technology that went from a mad scientist's toy to a global phenomenon: drones. And it all starts way back in 1898 in a packed Madison Square Garden. The inventor, Nikola Tesla, a true showman, steps onto a stage next to a small indoor pond. In the water is a tiny, strange-looking boat with a small box covered in levers and buttons. He begins to command it. The crowd watches, stunned, as the boat moves forward, backward, turns, and even flashes its lights, all without anyone touching it. They called it witchcraft, magic. Tesla called it a teletomaton, the world's first radio-controlled vehicle and the great-grandfather of every drone in the sky today. He even joked he could end all wars with it, a dream that would take a very different turn. Fast forward to the chaos of World War I, the idea of an unmanned weapon was no longer a joke. The Americans developed the Kettering bug, essentially a flying torpedo. It was a biplane made of wood and paper, loaded with explosives, and guided by a primitive autopilot system using a gyroscope and a barometer. The plan was to calculate the distance to a target, set the engine to run for that long, and then a cam would drop, shutting off the engine and deploying the wings so the bug would plummet onto its target. It was crude, inaccurate, and never actually used in combat, but the seed of the military drone was planted. World War II saw more advanced versions, like the German V-1 flying bomb, a terrifying pulsaget-powered cruise missile, and the American Aphrodite drones, which were essentially B-17 bombers, packed with explosives and remotely piloted by a crew who would bail out at the last minute. These were incredibly dangerous and often ended in disaster for the pilots. The era of the truly unmanned aerial vehicle, or UAV, was still just out of reach. Then the Cold War began, and the game changed from massive destruction to silent, watchful eyes. The fear of another U-2 spy plane being shot down, like Gary Powers in 1960, pushed the development of unmanned surveillance. This is where the Ryan Model 147, nicknamed the Lightning Bug, comes in. These were launched from the belly of a larger C-130 Hercules plane, flew pre-programmed routes over places like Vietnam and China at high altitude, snapping photos with film cameras, and then returned to a recovery zone, where a helicopter would literally snag them out of the sky with a hook and cable system. It was an elaborate and risky retrieval process, but it worked. We were getting closer, but there was a huge problem. The intelligence wasn't live. You had to get the drone back, recover the film, and develop it. By the time you saw what was happening, it was already history. The real breakthrough came from an unexpected place: Israel. Following the massive losses of aircraft in the 1973 Yom Kippur War, the Israeli military knew they needed a better way to see enemy air defenses before sending in their pilots. They pioneered the use of smaller, more nimble drones equipped with a game-changing technology: real-time video feedback. The IAI Scout and Mastiff drones were the first to send a live video feed directly to a ground station. For the first time, commanders could see the battlefield as it was, right now. This was revolutionary. In the 1982 Lebanon War, these drones flew ahead of Israeli jets, baiting Syrian anti-aircraft missile batteries into turning on their radars. Once the radars were active, the Israelis knew exactly where to strike. It was a stunning success that got the whole world, especially the United States, paying very close attention. That attention led to the birth of an icon, the Predator. Developed in the 1990s, the General Atomics GNAT 750, which evolved into the MQ-1 Predator, combined the long endurance of the Cold War surveillance drones with the real-time video of the Israeli models. It could loiter over an area for more than 24 hours, beaming back crystal-clear satellite video from anywhere in the world. And then came the aha moment that defined modern warfare. Engineers wondered, if we can see a target for this long, why can't we also strike it? So they armed it, strapping a Hellfire anti-tank missile to its wing. On October 7, 2001, in Afghanistan, a Predator drone did just that, firing a missile at a target identified by its own camera. The hunter-killer drone was born, changing military strategy forever. So how is a beast like the Predator's successor, the MQ-9 Reaper, even made? It's a far cry from a simple workshop. The process begins with its skeleton, the airframe. This isn't metal, it's mostly carbon fiber composite materials. Huge sheets of carbon fiber fabric, pre-impregnated with epoxy resin, are carefully layered by hand into massive molds shaped like the fuselage or wings. These molds are then sealed in vacuum bags and wheeled into a giant oven called an autoclave. Inside, immense heat and pressure cure the resin, fusing the layers into a single, incredibly strong but lightweight piece. While the airframe is being built, technicians in cleanrooms are assembling the drone's nervous system. They painstakingly route miles of wiring for flight controls, communications, and sensor payloads. The heart of the drone, its turboprop engine, is installed, along with the complex landing gear. But the real magic is in the payload. The iconic ball turret under the nose is a marvel of engineering. It's a gyroscopically stabilized housing containing multiple sensors, a high-definition daylight camera, an infrared camera for night vision, and a laser designator to guide missiles. Each component is tested relentlessly before the final assembly, where wings are bolted to the fuselage, and the whole system is powered up for months of rigorous software and flight testing. But while the military was building these multi-million-dollar giants, another revolution was quietly brewing. It was a revolution of miniaturization. The components that made the Predator possible, GPS modules, accelerometers, gyroscopes, tiny cameras, and powerful processors, started getting smaller, cheaper, and more powerful thanks to the smartphone industry. This convergence of tech made something new possible: the consumer quadcopter, and one company saw the future. They didn't invent the quadcopter, but they perfected it, making it stable, easy to fly, and equipped with a high-quality camera. They created a flying camera that anyone could use. Making a consumer quadcopter like a DJI Mavic is a masterclass in mass production precision. It starts with injection molding. Tiny plastic pellets are melted and forced under high pressure into steel molds to create the drone's body shells and propeller blades with incredible accuracy. Meanwhile, its brain is being born on a printed circuit board, or PCB, robotic arms, moving with surgical precision. Place hundreds of microscopic components: the flight controller, the GPS chip, the image processor, the ESCs, or electronic speed controllers that command the motors onto the board. The board then passes through a reflow oven, where solder paste melts to permanently fix the components. The brushless motors, which provide the lift, are wound by machine with copper wire and assembled with powerful magnets. The final assembly is like a high-tech dance. Workers connect the motors, the camera gimbal, the GPS module, and the battery contacts to the main board, all inside the plastic shell. Each drone then goes onto a calibration rig. It's powered on, and machines test every function. The motors spin up, the gimbal moves, the camera focuses, and the flight sensors are calibrated to ensure it will hover perfectly straight out of the box. From that point, drones exploded into every corner of our lives. Hollywood cinematographers started capturing breathtaking aerial shots that were once only possible with expensive helicopters. Farmers began using drones with multispectral sensors to monitor crop health, applying water or fertilizer with pinpoint accuracy, saving resources and increasing yields. Companies like Amazon and Zipline are pioneering drone delivery, sending packages and critical medical supplies to remote areas in minutes. They're used for search and rescue, inspecting bridges and power lines, and even creating 3D maps of construction sites. The list grows every single day. So, what's next? The future is both exciting and a little unsettling. Artificial intelligence is making drones smarter. They can now identify objects, track targets, and even navigate complex environments all on their own without a human pilot. We're also seeing the rise of drone swarms, large groups of drones working together, communicating and coordinating their actions like a flock of birds or a swarm of bees. They could be used to map a disaster zone in minutes, or, in a military context, overwhelm enemy defenses. This, of course, brings up huge ethical questions. Who is responsible when an autonomous drone makes a mistake? How do we prevent this technology from being used for nefarious purposes? These are the challenges we must navigate as this technology continues to evolve at a blistering pace. From Nikola Tesla's magic boat in a pond to intelligent swarms that think for themselves, the story of the drone is a story about the relentless human drive to see further, to reach higher, and to master our world from a new perspective. It's a technology that is shaping our present and will undoubtedly define our future. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure you're subscribed for more stories behind the things that shape our world. We'll see you in the next one.